Hi everybody, good morning. Let me introduce myself. I am Sairam from Hyderabad. I have completed my masters from Osmania University and I am having teaching experience of 2 years in the field of life science. Today we are going to discuss the very most important topic, that is the cell structure and function. So today we'll be going to discuss about what is a cell, next history of the cell, next types of the cells, and then cell organelles and their function. Okay, these are the 4 things that we are going to discuss today. So children, let's understand what is a cell. What is a cell actually? What does a cell? The definition of the cell is said to be a basic structural and functional unit of life. What does it say? It is a very basic unit for every organism. It is a very basic unit. Okay, first of all, let's understand. See, there is a unicellular organism called amoeba. You know amoeba? It is irregular in structure. It is very microscopic. We can't even see. It is to be only viewed under the microscope. And when coming to the very gigantic animal called elephant, have you seen elephant? How big it is? What is the difference between it is also made up of cells and elephant is also made up of cells? The only thing which matters is among the size. It is a unicellular, and when coming to the elephant, it is a multicellular. The only difference is the number of cells and the size of the cells changes. Okay, a quick question to you guys. Can you just give an example that a cell which is visible with your naked eyes? Can you just give an example? If you want a hint, I can even add a hint for you. There is a great advertisement called "Jo roz ande खाते हैं वो हट्टे कट्टे होते हैं." You remember? Yes, exactly. The answer is hence egg. Yes, egg. Egg is a unicellular one which we can see. And you know the fact, the biggest cell till now is, the largest cell is the ostrich egg. Ostrich egg ranges from around 16 centimeters to 17 centimeters. This is the size of the ostrich egg. Okay, that's the size of the ostrich egg. So I'll just give you a brief explanation with an example of bricks. Let's take a bricks and just compare it with a cell. Okay, so here this is a brick, this is a brick, and this is a cell. So it is a single unit called representing a cell. When the bricks are formed together, it forms a wall. Okay, it forms a wall. What does a wall mean? It is a partition between you and your next side person. So when coming to cells, group of cells like group of bricks, group of cells form a tissue, a specific tissue. In the same way, if the wall is, single wall is formed on the four sides, and when a wall is formed on the 4 sides, okay, it forms a room. In the sense, room is having some function, right? Either it might be a kitchen, it might be a living room, or it's a restroom. In the same way, these tissues together form an organ. It forms an organ. Okay, it forms an organ. Either it might be a stomach, either it may be a liver, anything. It will be forming an organ. When these rooms together form, all these rooms, separate rooms, compartments, this is living room, this is rest room, this is washroom, and this is bedroom. So all these rooms together form an organ system. What is an organ system? See, you are having this esophagus. Okay, it is an organ. Stomach is an organ. Small intestine is an organ. Large intestine is an organ. All these together form an organ system. Finally, after forming all these rooms, what comes? Ultimately what comes is a beautiful house, isn't it? This is a beautiful house. So what it is called as? It's an entire organism. The complete entire organism formed with a well-defined organelles and organ system. So here you can understand how important a cell is. Okay, for example, let's have a quick with representing a brick. Okay, so here in a house, if you remove a single brick, what happens? If you remove a single brick, it states like you are welcoming the mosquitoes. Okay, you are welcoming the mosquitoes. What happens if a mosquito enters? It bites you, then it causes dengue or malaria. If not treated properly, what happens? The next day your friends will be keeping, bro, rest in peace, bye tata. Okay, these kind of things happen. In the same way, when coming to cell, in an entire organism, if one cell got damaged, the entire organism may lose its life. For example, when coming to cancer, you know, cancer is caused within a cell. If a cell is affected, then the neighboring cells got affected, then thereby the organ gets damaged, then the organ system, then the entire organism, when caused with the cancer, he will be dead finally. So cell plays a very vital role. Here it states that cell is a basic structural and functional unit of life. Okay, this is what is cell. Let's try to understand the history of the cell. Let's try to have a glance of the history. History. You know who has discovered the cell? The cell was first discovered by Robert Hooke was a scientist who has discovered the cell. It was not fortunate. That was absolutely unfortunate. You know, actually, Robert Hooke was working under the King of London. Under the King of London, the King of the London has exclusively told this Robert Hooke to, you have to please do monitor only on the insects. But as being a scientist, he used to study on various organs, and he used to study on the glass, he used to study on the vessels, he used to study on the frozen urine even. He used to not at all leave anything. He used to study everything. He used to check under the microscope. So one fine day, he has gone to an oak tree. Remember guys, oak tree. He has taken the bark of the oak tree. From the bark, he has removed the cork. Inside the bark there is a cork. From the cork he has observed, under the microscope he has observed some hexagonal rings. Hexagonal rings which were placed in a very beautiful pattern, in like this. It was placed in this pattern. Do you find anything which resembles same like this one? Exactly, it is nothing but the honeycomb, the beehive's honeycomb. They are also formed in a very well developed structural manner like this. It represents the honeycomb. So this Robert Hooke has been first identified them, and he has coined these particles as cell. He coined them as cell. It was coined. So the term cell was coined by Robert Hooke. Okay. Then comes the next great scientist called Anton van Leeuwenhoek. This guy, he has also discovered another living cell. How he has discovered a living cell? Let's understand. So he has taken a droplet of water from a pond, okay, on a slide. He has observed spirulina. Spirulina is nothing but a green algae. So he has observed it under the slide. So how did he identify that it is a living organism? So when he was observing under the slide, he has seen some tiny bubbles, air bubbles were coming from that. It represents that as it is a green algae, it is autotrophic. So under the presence of sunlight, it is producing oxygen. So it is said to be as a living organelle. Now let's try to understand the types of cells. There are basically two types of cells, dear students. Okay, the one is the eukaryotic cell and the other one is the prokaryotic. What does that mean? What is this eu? What is this pro mean? Eu in the sense it is true. In the terms of biology, eu in the sense true, pro in the sense primitive. So dear students, inside a cell, observe, inside a cell we find nucleus, right? DNA, genetic material, the DNA. This DNA is freely floating inside the cell. That means it is not having any nuclear membrane. It is completely under the absence of nuclear membrane. So it is being called as prokaryotic cell. When there is no nuclear membrane, that is called as prokaryotic cell. In the eukaryotic cell, the DNA and the genetic material is present inside the double membrane called the nucleus is present inside this. So these people, presence of nuclear membrane, it is categorized into eukaryotic cell. Absence of the nuclear membrane, it is categorized into prokaryotic cells. Okay, these are the two types of cells, and based on the nuclear membranes, I'll be just sharing you a trick with you by the end of the video. What are the membrane bound organelles, which organelles have single membrane, which organelles have double membrane, and what are the organelles that does not even have any membrane. So we'll be discussing by the end of the video. Alright. So here let's discuss about cell organelles. So before telling about the cell organelles, I would like to differentiate a cell with a community. I would just like to, an example I'll be sharing with you. Try to understand, okay? So here we'll be representing a cell, and here we'll be representing a community. Okay. So okay, what does a cell have? Cell have a cell in it, and middle we'll be having the nucleus. Inside the nucleus, we'll be having a nucleosome and cell organ. I'm just drawing the cell organelles. Okay, try to understand here. So, all of the cell organelles, This center part is said to be the nucleus. Nucleus is a nucleus consists of genes, okay, genetic material. The DNA is present inside the nucleus, and this is called the nucleosome. Nucleosome functions is to synthesis of RNA. This is the chloroplast, production of food, and this is the mitochondria. This is the endoplasmic reticulum. This is Golgi apparatus. This is ribosome, and this is vacuole, and this is said to be the lysosome. So I'll be briefly explaining you with this community diagram. Okay, now let's understand the cell organelles and cell with a community diagram. So let us take, we are in a community. Obviously our community is surrounded with some boundaries. Okay, our community has a boundary, so the boundary is called as cell membrane. Okay, the boundary is called as cell membrane. Basically in a community we will be having a community hall or a city house. Okay, in center we will be having a city house. What is the city house representing? The city house represents the nucleus. The city house represents the nucleus. Inside the nucleus, what is actually present inside the city hall? So inside the nucleus actually the DNA is present, but in the city hall we are having a community, right? In this community many houses, so many people, every details of the house, details of the people, details of the land, every detail is present inside this community hall. So it is present in the form of DNA. Okay, it is present in the form of DNA. There is a mayor sitting inside this hall. Assume he is a president. Assume he is a president. Okay, and we will be having, basically we will be having the roads. We will be having a storage house. We will be having a police station. Okay, we will be having a factory, lighthouse. We will be having a bus stop and a vehicle even. So based on this, let's try to understand the cell and the organelles of the cell. Okay, as we cell membrane. Okay, here we are having the nucleus, and what happens inside the nucleus? The nucleus is having, it's called as a controller of the cell. It is said to be the controller of the cell. Every activity in the cell is controlled by the nucleus. The nucleosome, when any protein is required in the cell, the nucleolus sends the RNA to the ribosomes and the endoplasmic reticulum where the protein synthesis takes place. Okay, this sends a message to the neighbor, this what, endoplasmic reticulum. In endoplasmic reticulum basically we are having two types. One is smooth endoplasmic reticulum and the other one is rough endoplasmic reticulum. So on the rough endoplasmic reticulum, why is it termed as rough endoplasmic reticulum? Because on the rough endoplasmic reticulum we do have the ribosomes, presence of ribosomes. So obviously when there is presence of ribosomes on the endoplasmic reticulum, it produces proteins, and the other smooth endoplasmic reticulum produces lipids. Okay, in the same way the ribosome which is present inside the cell, they are also responsible for the production of proteins. So this one, the ribosome, is said to be protein factory. It is called as protein factory. Blue one which is representing over here is said to be the Golgi apparatus. Golgi apparatus. What all the proteins and lipids produced inside the cell, they are packed properly and transported, either if the requirement is inside the cell or else if the requirement is outside the cell, they are packed and transported with the help of this Golgi apparatus. Okay, this Golgi apparatus helps to transport and pack the proteins. Then this is said to be the Golgi apparatus. Okay, Golgi apparatus, and this powerhouse is said to be the mitochondria. What is the function of the mitochondria, dear children? The function of the mitochondria is, it is said to be the powerhouse of cell. It gives energy to the cell. Okay, it produces energy inside the cell, and this red one indicates the lysosome. So this is the lysosome. So what is the function of the lysosome? Actually, when any bacteria or virus or any foreign particles enters the cell, the lysosome first comes into attack. It acts as a defense. Okay, then when it is not capable to fight against the bacteria or the foreign particles, what this lysosome does is it kills its own cell. It kills its own cell. So that is why it has given a name called suicidal bag of cell. So the next one is the bakery. Bakery in the sense, what does it indicate? Bakery in the sense, it is, okay, chloroplast. What is the function of the chloroplast? It is used in the production of food in plants. Chloroplast is exclusively seen in plants. Okay, so it is said to be the kitchen. It is said to be the kitchen. See, for example, if you are placing an order in a bakery for pizza, so it will be good until evening or else one day. That's it. After a day, it gets spoiled. In the same way, other foods which won't spoil, like this biscuits and bread, they at least live to 4 to 5 days. Okay, so those kind of any storage materials are stored in this vacuole. Okay, in this vacuole is said to be the storehouse of food. Vacuoles in these vacuoles the food is stored. Okay, so now let's have a just look over both these things and just have a quick review of among them. So I said you this is chloroplast. The function of chloroplast is it is said to be the kitchen. It produces food in plants, and the blue color thing which represents here are called the ribosomes. Ribosomes are said to be the protein factories. They produce proteins, and the red one over is said to be the lysosome. The function of the lysosome is said to be as suicidal bag of the cell, and the blue color one over is said to be the mitochondria. This is mitochondria, powerhouse of cell, and this is said to be the vacuole storage of food, and this red one, this represents the nucleus, and it represents the nucleolus. This one represents the endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, these are the cellular organs which are present inside the cell. Now, just I told you right previously, we will be having a small trick regarding the organs which presence of membranes in that. I'll just bring that to you. See, like every cell has a membrane, right? In the same way, cell organelles do possess some membrane. Some cell organelles possess single membrane, some organelles possess double membrane, some organelles doesn't even have any cell membrane. So let's have a quick trick for that. Okay, so single membrane bound organelles, double membrane bound organelles, and no membrane bound organelles. Okay, my dear students. Okay, so here the single membrane bound organelles, we just have a trick called as I hope you are very familiar with a single cylinder, right? Single cylinder will be we are just having a single cylinder. In the same way, let's have a trick of that. Okay, what is present inside a cylinder? That is LPG, liquefied petroleum gas, is present inside the cylinder. So assume, just imagine this just for fun. Okay, the one who is having this LPG cylinder, let's imagine they are having some attitude. Attitude in Hindi is called as what? Garv. Okay, so let's write it as GERV, Garv. Okay, and double membrane in the sense they are very sophisticated, they are very specific. Okay, so let us take it as MNC company. They are not even having single, they are very protective, they are very sophisticated, they are very highly developed. So in the same way, no membrane bound organelles, we take it for 3 crores. 3 crores. Okay, 3 crores. So let's decode these things. Okay, first of all, let's decode from here. L stands for lysosome, P stands for peroxisome, G stands for glyoxysome, and the other G stands for Golgi bodies. ER stands for endoplasmic reticulum, V stands for vacuole, M stands for mitochondria, N stands for nucleus, C stands for chloroplast, and here the 3 C stands like CCC. We have to take 3 C's here, and the next one is the R. R is called to be the ribosome, and the one is the cytoskeleton, centrosome, and this cilia or flagella. Okay, this is a trick which you have to follow for this membrane bound organelles. So let's have a glance look. Let's come to a conclusion what we have read today. So we have discussed what is a cell. Okay, cell is a basic and structural unit of life. The history of cell. Tell me who has discovered a cell first? The cell was discovered by Robert Hooke. Then it was non-living cell. Then followed by Anton van Leeuwenhoek, who has discovered the living cell. Okay, next types of cell, that is the prokaryotic cell and the eukaryotic cell. Cell organelles, we have in detail discussed the cell organelles with the help of the diagrams. So I hope everything is clear, and guys, if you have any doubt, please feel free to reach out to me. Let's have a QA session for a couple of minutes. If you have any doubts, please reach out to me, and we will be discussing the rest of the topic in detail. Every cellular organelle will be detailed in the tomorrow's class. And thank you for your participation. Thank you.